welcome to our AI in Focus segment, and it's all about chip maker Nvidia this Tuesday. Around 16,000 people are in San Jose, California for an event that some industry analysts are calling the Woodstock of AI. Mark New explains.
Perfect name. Blackwell.
Silicon Valley-based Nvidia has become one of the most valuable companies in the world, in large part because of the skyrocketing demand for artificial intelligence.
So Nvidia is at the heart of the AI revolution because of one thing, the GPU. And that GPU is a graphical process unit. That chip is really what powers all these AI transactions. But it was generative AI that put Nvidia back on the map. Their stock is on a tear, and it's almost up 270% over the last 12 months.
At its annual GTC conference, Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang unveiled Blackwell, its latest GPU chip. Huang held Blackwell side by side with its previous generation GPU called Hopper for comparison. Nvidia claims Blackwell has 4 times more AI training performance capability.
208 billion transistors, and so you could see, I can see, there's a small line between 2 dies. This is the first time 2 dies have abutted like this together in such a way that the two dies think it's one chip. There's 10 terabytes of data between it, 10 terabytes per second. It's just one giant chip. And so when we were told that Blackwell's ambitions were beyond the limits of physics, the engineer said, so what?
It's not your normal chip. Normally you put a chip in and you add another chip. They actually have the technology allow you to pull together all the chips to act like one chip. So imagine a bunch of Lego building blocks coming together to form one big chip, so you can supersize any chip that you have.
Nvidia also showed how its AI tools are being used to power digital twins, like virtual representations of a real-world factory floor. This digital twin warehouse, complete with digital workers and autonomous robots, tests how to solve a system's problems before they happen in the real world. Nvidia also revealed that its chips will be used to power autonomous driving systems, including for the world's largest EV maker, Chinese company BYD. Huang says Nvidia has also created Earth 2, a digital twin of the Earth that's using AI to help predict weather. It's also using its high-tech tools for drug discovery, hoping to speed up the development of successful medicine. Nvidia is also using its AI tools to make strides in the world of robotics.
We are starting to do some really great work in the next generation of robotics. The next generation of robotics will likely be a humanoid robotics. We now have the necessary technology to imagine generalized human robotics.
Huang brought on stage a variety of special guests, all humanoid robots that Nvidia is helping to make more useful, more intelligent, and more human-like. Mark New, CGTN, San Jose, California.
For more now on the significance of this year's Nvidia AI Gathering, I'm joined by Tom Taulli, AI expert and author of the book Artificial Intelligence Basics. Tom, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much, Poppie.
Now, of course, the big news today, all about the Blackwell GPU chip. Tell us, how is this newly announced product different from its current offering?
Yeah, so the current offering, or the current state-of-the-art offering, is the H100 chip. And it's the, blows everyone away for the most part. And that's why NVIDIA has about 80% of the global market for the GPUs. But of course, NVIDIA has been known to invest heavily in research and development, doesn't want to stand still. In fact, Jensen Huang has noted that, you got to always think you're going to go bankrupt. So he's always, pushing ahead. So the new chip, the Blackwell, is anywhere, up to about 30 times, with higher performance compared to the H100, and has 25 times less the cost and energy consumption. So this will represent a leap in the capabilities for artificial intelligence and it'll be released sometime later this year.
Now, NVIDIA's customers are companies like Meta and Microsoft, of course, Silicon Valley giants. What do these upgrades mean for everyday consumers?
Yeah, this technology is under the hood. So, most people are never going to see a GPU. If you have your laptop, it'll have a CPU, which is a general processor that handles, the kinds of things you would have on a laptop. But the GPUs are just really sophisticated and can handle these huge models, the models that allow ChatGPT to, to do its magic. And so for the consumer, I think what's going to happen going forward is we're going to see a couple of things. One is we're going to our phones, which we spend a lot more time on our phones than we do on our laptops and desktops, it seems. So what we're going to see is a lot more on the phone that's going to be driven by these GPUs, primarily leveraged through the cloud. And we've already seen some hints of that already, where Apple is starting to get aggressive with AI and it sounds like has had talks with Google to implement its AI technology into their phones. And of course, Google controls Android, and they're beefing that up with the AI. So I think a lot of this we're going to see in our phones, and I think the other development too is we're going to see these AI PCs. Still early on, but we'll hear a lot about those in the next few months. So I think this is behind it's going to drive a lot of this innovation, and consumers are definitely going to see it and benefit from it.
Now, of course, this is a multi-day conference being dubbed the Woodstock of AI. How is the conference being received by investors so far?
As mentioned in the segment before, the stock is up close to 3x in the past year. So, a lot of the good news has been baked into the stock. So going into this conference, I think investors, for the most part, knew what was going to be announced, and it would be primarily focused around Blackwell. So, the stock has been a little choppy the last few days. I think that's to be expected. But for investors, I think what they're encouraged by is, I think one thing they're encouraged by is that the cost of this chip will be lower. And I think that's just tells us that, AI is going to be so pervasive throughout our society. And by lowering the price of these chips, it's going to become more mainstream and give Nvidia even much better, leverage in terms of its dominance. And so I think that's the pricing, I think, is actually the lower pricing, I think, is encouraging to Wall Street. And I think the one thing, though, Wall Street is a little concerned about is just capacity. Can Nvidia produce enough of these chips to meet the demand? And so far for the H100, that's been very difficult because there's been a lot of shortages.
And Tom, lastly, what else do you think we might expect to see coming out of the conference as it continues the next few days?
I think we may even see a deal or two. You get a lot of these powerful companies in the same place. They're all talking about AI, and they don't want to be left out. So this may germinate into some interesting M&A deals or funding deals. So this event is a great networking event for the industry. I also think we've already saw some other things about NVIDIA that are important, and that is the software system, the NIM software system that they've launched. I think we're going to learn more about that, and that's going to make it easier to deploy these AI models, which is still a very complicated process. So, I think the one thing that people get confused sometimes with NVIDIA is they think it's just a chip company, but it's more than that. It's networking, it's software, it's built an ecosystem, and this conference is clearly an indication of the power of this ecosystem and the momentum in the business.